Well, hello YouTube. Going to be looking at some different ferrocerium rods. Kind of a couple to look at. Now, different ferrocerium rods will react differently to the way that you use them with your knife. Some are harder, some are soft. Metals differentiate in some sense on each of them. And I've seen a couple videos where people seem to be struggling to use a ferrocerium rod, and you kind of got to get used to the one that you've got hold of. There's several different types, from these super large things that are going around, and they're fantastic. They'll get you a fire anywhere, long lasting, quite a harder steel. Then you kind of got the TSB. This is my Bushcraft knife setup, you know, DC4 sharpener, and of course the TSB bore, the Bushcraft store bore ferrocerium rod that accompanies the knife and works really well with this combination. And got my Moore and neck knife. I just purchased that, just bought that. I'm kind of enjoying using this at the moment. Small neck knife, beyond using it on a camp in a week or two. And then of course my normal, this was from the Ramirez store. You can see it's a bit well used. Kind of very soft metal, good go-to ferrocerium rod, and that attaches to me on a quick release keychain. It's a lovely setup, that is. So yeah, different ferrocerium rods will react in different ways, and we'll kind of get a bit of tinder ready, and you know, kind of using fat wood for this. I got some stick here. It's really wet. It's going to take a bit of work to feather stick that, but we'll have a little go on it and see whether we can get one to light. Sun's finally come out up in the mountains, so we'll have a little go. So we'll get this set up and we'll get it ready, and we'll try some different ferrocerium rods. How's that? So that's probably going to be enough for the first little trial that I do here. I'm kind of going to just use my Moore knife, kind of a bigger ferrocerium rod. This one you kind of need to use the whole length because it's quite soft, and you can see that if I just do this, I just scrape off some, which is great for getting this fire going. But really, I'm not getting no sparks off it. So what I can do then is just run it down. And away it goes. That's using the bigger rod. You can see that I've had to use it. Kind of get some amazing sparks off this. It'll get tinder going wherever you are, pretty well much wet or dry. Burns quite nice. It's good. Knock that off. That will just burn out. Let's go on to the next one. Once again, just get me a few shavings of fat wood stick that I made up. And thanks to the guys at Camp Shaky that bought some of this along with them. And I've nearly run out. So I'm hoping this year somebody will bring me some more fat wood, because I go through it quite a lot. Just come back from a 4-day trip in Snowdonia National Park. Picked up kind of the neck knife, and I'll do more of a video than that, because when I was up there I always pop into the same kind of camping gear shop when I run out of supplies, and I normally do when I'm up there. I always have a yap with the guys, and they've given me a product to try out because the bloody flies and gnats up there, and I'll be doing a video on that. It's actually quite good, surprisingly. Well, let's whip up some more of that. Go on to the TSB bore ferrocerium rod. These work exceptionally well, and again, they're not that soft. If I kind of come in with my tip of my knife, I get shavings off it. So again, I need to, on this rod, use the home knife trying. Let me try with the edge of this knife. I've polished this knife and I shouldn't have polished the back of it. And there we are, fire. Not the ferrocerium rod's fault, my fault. I'd kind of cleaned this knife up after I'd got back from Snowdonia, and I used a polish on it, and I think I over polished the back edge of it. I'll have to roughen that up again. Yeah, that's better. Polish is coming off a bit now. I'll have to try and do something with that. Great ferrocerium rod, really accompanies this knife, and I've had no troubles using it. Used it in kind of Snowdonia for 4 days, getting my wood burning stove going. You see that burns quite well. You know, we've got the embers for a fire to go. Knock that off and just stomp it out. Can't do no damage here, it's so wet. A few more shavings off this one. Once again, I'll use my TSB bore. Fantastic knife from the Bushcraft store. The wife bought it for me a couple years ago, and I had the basic sheath, and then the Bushcraft store sponsored one of my video series and sent just that pouch and the ferro rod. I already had a DC4 sharpener, which is a good little sharpener in the field. So I'm kind of going to do this. Get some more shavings. Oop. For anyone who thinks my thumb's close to the knife, it's nowhere near the edge, by the way. It's probably the angle of the camera. Get a few more shavings off. Now, I'm not kind of doing these shavings as I would, you know, if I really wanted to make concentrate on building a fire. I'm trying to do it rough, so the average person would kind of be able to do this when they start getting into bushcraft, or first have a go at this. So I don't want to be too precise. I want to show people that it can be done either way. The secret really is to get these as thin as possible, and you'd obviously take a lot more time than what I'm taking, and get a bigger pile together to give you a sustainable flame, although this is enough. So I've got a few more shavings. That'll do. And I'll go for my kind of soft ferrocerium rod that I've got here. You can see on this one, it's just literally on the tip, and I'm already throwing a spark, and I don't know whether you can see that on the camera. That's a softer ferrocerium rod. kind of not editing anything out of this video. I want people to see that it does take a couple of goes. You know, you see a lot of one strikes, and you can do that quite easily with silver birch. But when you're trying to get shavings to go, it takes a little bit of time. And there we are. And you can see how the softer ferrocerium rod is pretty effortless, really. And I think the softer steel would be better for the beginner of using a ferrocerium rod, or in an emergency situation, go for the bigger one. Obviously the one that accompanies my TSB bore is my go-to one at the minute, because that's pretty well much the one I carry. So that's basically how you use a ferrocerium rod, and it really is as simple as that. We're going to go on to doing some feather sticks in a minute, and I'll try and knock a couple of feather sticks, and we'll have a little go without doing no editing, of course. I want people to see a realistic side of, you know, fire lighting. I'm not going to call it bushcraft, because this really is campcraft that you're learning. Making and creating a fire, although it's a bush skill, it really is a campcraft skill. I'm going to let that burn it. There we are. So yeah, we'll knock up a couple of feather sticks and we'll see how we get on with them. If I can find any dry wood, I'm going to have to really go down to the inner side of the wood, I think, for this. Creating feather sticks, you can kind of have a go at these anytime you want. It's a handy skill to have. You're trying to look for wood that's pretty well much knot free, so you can see that there had a knot in it, so I've snapped it off there, because trying to feather stick a knot is really difficult. What I'm looking for is nice straight wood, straight grain, and relatively dry, although I've got my doubts. A tip you can do is just put a bit of that on your tongue, and if it's damp it'll go like blotting paper. If it's dry it won't. Let's have a go with the Mora that I'm on trialing at the minute. This thing's lovely, really nice knife to use. Not as good as the TSB bore, I don't think, but would get you out of trouble if you had to. Definitely feel that biting a lot more. It's probably just because I'm used to using my TSB bore for this business. So let's have a go at this. This is going to be quite challenging. Don't chuck them shavings away, they're important to keep. Let's add this up. Let's have a go. I'm going to go for this one. We'll have a go with it and we'll see what happens with it. Put the feather stick on its side. It's the best chance to catching it. What I could have do is put some really fine curls using the back edge of my knife at the back of the feather stick, which will give me a lighter tinder to go off. I'll try it. Try and cut that down a bit. See, that finer stuff on the feather stick may just help us out here a little bit. Wind's picking up. Of course you don't want a windy spot for this. Let's try it. Struggling there a bit. Yeah. Is it or isn't it? It's trying. The secret is to flip. Sounds like a mouse. We keep getting flame. Yeah. And it is as simple as that. Flip your feather stick over to get a more efficient burn on it. In fact, we've done really well to get that going. Nice. And that really is how to use a ferrocerium rod. Try it with all different tinders. That's my biggest advice. Try it with anything you've got, really. I've tried kind of everything from dried potato peelings to everything. Just go out, have some fun. You don't have to go far. You can do it in the back garden. That's it, my quick tips for you on how to use a ferrocerium rod. Simple, done. See you on the next one.